And just like that, I am back. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me tonight with Journey with Dina. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you still have time to do it, even while you're already on here, right? So, only thing you have to do is click the subscribe button and then make sure you hit the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I go live. Okay? That's all I ask of you, right? So, if you are joining me tonight, or if you come back and watch the replay, please drop down in the comments and tell me hello. You don't cost a thing. Your parents teach you when you're younger. Don't be rude. Speak when you enter the room, right? So just drop it down in the comment section and just say hello to me, okay? So, if you have been journeying with me over the past couple of weeks, we have been in the mini series of the waiting period, right? The waiting period, like, what is that? So, if you have not, then you have no clue what I'm talking about, right? So, I'm just going to give you just a little brief snippet of what I'm talking about. And other than that, you're going to have to go back and watch the videos, okay? So the waiting period is the time preparation in between preparation and the promise. So we are on that journey of being in the waiting period for our kingdom spouse. And that has been my journey for the past couple of years. So I decided to come on and take you on my journey, right? So everything that I give you is not something that I've heard, it's something that I have experienced my own self, my own perspective and my journey of in the waiting period or my journey to my kingdom spouse, right? So, like I said, we have been in this journey for the past couple of weeks. And if you have not watched it, please do yourself a favor and go back after this video tonight because I'm not going to hold you long. And go on back to the other side and watch the videos. There are plenty for you to catch up on. We talked about everything in the waiting period because the waiting period is a very necessary period from where we are to cultivating us into who God created us to be. Not just so much for that spouse, but for ourselves as well, right? So as God is working on us, He's working on that person. So we just been journeying through what that looks like, how that feels, right? And so tonight, as I was praying this morning while I was walking and trying to come up with what do you want me to say tonight, Lord? And so it dropped down in my spirit about friendships, like friendships while in the waiting period, right? Friendships is a big part of the waiting period, right? Because you remember that commercial, I think they used to have your top five, your favorite five. So that counts for friends as well, right? So I've been doing my little research about friendships, right? And I came up with this. It said that friendships during the waiting period for your kingdom spouse can be one of the most overlooked yet powerful gifts that God gives. They're not just placeholders, they're preparers, refiners, and sometimes even mirrors of the love you're learning to give and to receive, right? And so the first thing that came to mind was about practicing covenant love, right? Friendships allow you to practice loyalty, forgiveness, and emotional safety, right? All those are qualities and they are essential for marriage, even when it's inconvenient, and to communicate with grace. Okay? Because even before you get to a marriage and friendships and relationships, like you have to have be a friend first, right? Excuse me. You have to get friendship down pat. And I feel like any marriage should have two things: friendship and love. The Bible already tells us that we have to love. This is a commandment to love. But it ain't say we got to like them. So liking them and being friends and developing a friendship with someone is very important. However, before you even get there, you can practice with your friends, right? Yeah, because you sort of already have these qualities even in your friends and shows it, right? Especially when it talked about you practicing loyalty. We're gonna stop right there. I am loyal to by fault, right? And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad because a lot of times we expect ourselves out of other people because we are loyal and it don't always work like that. But a lot of times you just have to chalk it up to I was doing what God wanted me to do. I was showing godly love. Just go on about your business. But that's a process. You have to grow to that process too, okay? Because I'm not gonna say it's always easy. Because sometimes you feel like people should be loyal to you because you're loyal to them, but that's not always the case. However, when we are in this mode of developing friendships, that is one of the key things in which you definitely will need that in a marriage because you are to be loyal to your spouse and your spouse should be loyal to you, right? And when it says the next one was forgiveness, oh my. The Bible tells us that we have to forgive how many times? Too many times to count, right? So that's a lot of times that we have to count and forgive, right? So that means no matter what happens, you still got to forgive them. And that's, like I said, we practice that in our friendships. We got to forgive them. Now, sometimes it might not happen right away in that moment, but I had to learn how everything doesn't have to be addressed at that time. Like sometimes I had to learn how to take a break, walk away, let it, clear your mind, and then come back. Because I was always the type of person, if it's a problem, no, I want to handle it right now. Because letting it sit gonna make it fester. So I thought. Now sometimes that is correct. You might need to walk away and then come back because everybody don't react the same way. And sometimes, I ain't gonna say sometimes, but all the time it's best to cool down first and then deal with it. And then forgive. Like one of my pet peeves that I always stick to, and I pray to God I'm gonna stick to it. My bestest when I get married is not to go to bed mad. Do not go to bed mad when you're married with unforgiveness because you don't know if you're gonna wake up the next morning, right? So that's the same thing in a friendship. In a friendship, do not let your emotions get the best of you and you take on situations with a friend that you had a spat with and you let it go on and on and on without having a conversation because it grows, and grows. And now it's this big gap in between where it's a whole lot of assumptions maybe going on, or you may be feeling some type of way and the other person don't even know what it is. So forgive, have the conversation. Now, forgiveness doesn't always mean that, oh, we're going to reconcile because we forgive. No, sometimes forgiveness means, we've come to an agreement. We're going to forgive and we're going to go our separate ways, but it's okay because we have did what God required for us to do in the middle, right? We forgave, and we went on about our business because maybe our time and our season is up. Okay. So that's what I got for forgiveness. And it says emotional safety qualities essential for marriage when it's convenient and when it's inconvenient. The emotional qualities, emotional safety means I have to feel safe. I have to be vulnerable. I have to feel like I can be safe and vulnerable with you in order to let you in that space as a friend. Because friends, and a lot of times people used to always say we use the term friends loosely, but I'm learning as you grow that friends drop off because they're for a reason, season, and a lifetime. And it's okay. It's okay when your season is up with a friend to just go on, make peace of it, and go your separate ways. But there shouldn't be any bad blood or anything in between, right? Because the Bible said to make sure you always have clean hands and a pure heart, meaning you're not harboring any evil against your friends, right? So then I had that friendship, use it as preparation for your marriage, which is what I've been saying anyway. It says, my first question that I wrote to myself was, how have my friendships helped me become emotionally ready for marriage? One of the emotional things it gave me was not to meet people where they are, right? Because we have a tendency of, because I would do it this way, I feel like you should do it that way, and that's not how that works. I had to learn to dissect each friendship and meet people where they are and not expect me from them and not try to change them. You know how they say when people show you who they are, believe them. I believe that now, but that was not my thought process, before I went through this journey. this journey taught me that you have to meet people where they are, accept them for who they are, what they are, and just roll with it. It makes your life so much easier than it have you not holding grudges or being mad at people because they didn't do things a certain type of way, and just the way they've been, just the way they are. And if they don't change, then they won't change. But it leaves you less frustrated when you accept. All right, I knew that he was gonna be this type of way. He's been showing me this. We've been friends for 10 years, and he's always been late to all the parties. He's always there when I need him, but he gonna always be late. So when you learn that about a person, it's easier for you not to get frustrated and bent out of shape when you having something and you know they're gonna be late and you like where they at, but you already knew they was gonna be late. Okay. So I love him anyway. He gonna be late to the party, and that's it. Cause I have a friend. I ain't gonna tell y'all her name, but when I say she is late to everything, everything, it does not matter what it is. So I literally have to tell her 2 hours before time, whatever. If we going somewhere, if we having something, I gotta call a couple of weeks in advance, and I gotta tell her a different time. If it's at 7, I'm telling her to start at 5. But now she's caught on. But we've been friends for over 20, 30 years. But I know that about her. So that doesn't stress me out because I know she coming. Oh, she coming. She definitely coming. But she definitely gonna be an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 hours late. But I already know her. So it doesn't upset me because I have learned that about her and I know how to meet her where she is. If I need her here by a certain time, I'm just gonna tell her a different time. But she gonna show up. But I'm not frustrated because I know her and I meet her where she is, right? So that makes life so much easier. And I hate that I'm just not learning this at this late stage of my life, right? It would have helped me out a whole lot sooner in life. And it's just a part of my journey that I had to learn on the back end. Um, I'm sure I could have learned it earlier, but I wasn't in the mindset or the process to learn it then and didn't want to know. But now, as I grow and evolve into this different person, I see things in a different light, if that makes sense to you. Hello, Angela. Welcome to tonight's podcast. Um, so my next question was, what qualities in my closest friends mirror the kind of spouse that I am praying for? Um, Patience, because my friends have been very patient with me. Because sometimes I can be all over the place, and I don't know how. I'm learning to kind of rest in between, and I'm learning to take criticism, I guess I'll say constructive criticism, without being mad or, saying angry or taking it or being defensive about it, but trying to listen without always having to have a reaction, if that makes sense. Because if you give me something, I'll be like, well, nah, I ain't this, that, and the other. But to actually listen to what you are saying to me to help me, because you are my friend and I do take into account what you are saying to me. But I'm learning now, you got to be a really close friend, because friendships in the the waiting period, it plays a very vital role, right? Because like I always say, the waiting period has its peaks and its valleys, and it matters who is talking to you, who is praying for you, like what they're saying to you, what kind of motivation they're sending you. Like, they should know when you down. They should know if you talk to them a lot. They should know when you having a moment and be there to, kind of lift you up and, to send you some encouragement, pray for you, whatever it is that you need. Your friends should be able to do that for you. And I'm a firm believer in that. But like I said, the older you get, you realize that everybody's not that type of friend. And that's okay, because you up close. That's how I feel about it. Okay. Baby, what did they do on my end there? Let me go to my next question. What lessons have I learned about communication, boundaries, and grace through friendship? That grace was a big part of, like I said, in the friendship, because I remember I was walking one day and Like I told y'all before, I can hold a grudge. Like once I'm done with it, I'm done. I ain't got to ever see you again, speak to you. I'm good on that. And so I had to come out of there because that was not godly, right? And so as I was learning this lesson about grace, extending grace to people, because God told me, who are you not to extend grace to somebody when I extend grace to you every single day? And I was like, ooh, it hurt. Then I started thinking about how we have a grace period with everything. Your car note, they give you a grace period. Your mortgage, they give you a grace period. Like most of all the bills that you may pay, except for certain ones, they give you a grace period, at least 7 days. So who are we not to extend grace to that same to our friends? Because everybody have their days, they have their ups, their downs, they have life going on. Um, so we have to extend them grace. If they say they need a minute, give them a minute. Just step back, don't push it, don't assume. And that's something that I'm learning even in this week because people deal with things differently. And I've been expecting, like I said earlier, you can't expect you from other people. I've been expecting people to do not what I would do, right? So I've had a couple of people that I've reached out to and they was like, well, I just ain't been in the head space to talk, or, they may be going through some things and they just don't want to talk. And for me, that was hard for me to grasp, and I'm still grasping it this week, but it's been a couple of people. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, because that's not me, but and I didn't understand it. But even in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, it tells us to lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge God, and He will direct our path. So I'm trying, and I'm gonna do it, to not try to understand what it is that they're going through and just give them their space. Because that is a part of their boundary that they're setting up to let you know that, hey, I'm not in a space right now. I can't talk. And don't always assume that it's something that you have done to them. Maybe they might be going through their own storm or whatever they have going on, and they just don't want to share that with you right now. Maybe never, but learn to be okay with people setting boundaries, because I'm so used to just talking and coming and calling. And when you start moving different on me, that sometimes it's the Lord moving people out the way. And then sometimes people just need that boundary because of whatever they're going through. So I'm learning to just say a prayer for them, pray the Lord cover them in whatever it is that they're going through, and go on about my business. Don't make no assumptions about they're feeling this way, they're thinking this they got nothing to do with me, because they probably ain't even thinking about you. Okay, just being honest. So my last one I have is, how do I show up for my friends the way I hope to show up in covenant love? That means with your spouse. Like, I hope that I show up for my friends in whatever capacity they need me to be in, right? I think that's very important to even do check-ins. And what I thought about earlier today, just randomly calling your friends, checking in. Am I showing up for you the way you need me to? Like, how can I be a better friend? Because we get complacent being in friendships for years and just giving the same what we've been given. We talk, go on about our business or whatever. But as we evolve and life evolves, like, your friend may need something different from you. And so that brought to my remembrance, is just not coming to me now, that I was listening to Pastor Torre and Pastor Sarah, and they was talking, and they was saying, like, every 5 years they check in with each other. And because we're not the same people that we were 5 years ago, so who do you need me to be now in this season of your life? What is it that you need from me? Is it something else you need different? Is it something else that's not working? Like, check in. Let's see who we need to be in this season of our life, because we're not the same that we was 5 years ago. So we might need something different. And that's okay, because you're supposed to grow and evolve together. But when they put it on the table, they open up the platform for them to have the conversation with each other, and not just one person saying, well, hey, I need this and you ain't doing this, and the other. You put it all on the table and ask, what is it that you need from me at this stage of our life? Which I thought that was really cool. And I said that this week I actually was going to do that myself. I was going to, like, randomly just call my friends and ask them, my close friends, let me get that right, and ask them, Am I showing up for you the way you need me to? Like, is there something different that you need from me in this season of my life? Because, like I said, you show up for your friends in the same way that you're going to show up for your kingdom spouse, right? So you should have that open communication, that dialogue with your spouse, so you are both are continuing to grow and not one person versus the other, right? That was a lot, right? I know. But that's all I got for you today. And I'm going to say the rest for tomorrow and the coming days, right? So that's all I came on here to share with you tonight about friendships during the waiting season. If you are that friend and you have friends or a friend that is in the waiting period of waiting for their kingdom spouse, whether that be man or woman, make sure you show up for them and continue to encourage them, because we all have our ups and our down days. And sometimes it's hard, especially with the type of friends that you have. You may have friends like me. All my friends are married, except for maybe this many. But it's okay, because I watch them, I learn from them. We have conversations that they have taught me a lot of things and what to look for, when you get married, when you even meet a person, when you're dating, like a lot of need to know, especially when you have friends that have been married for long times, like me. I think like 25 years, 30 years, like 15, like longevity. Not even, I think one time I went and sat and talked to my aunt and uncle who've been married for maybe 40, 30, 40 years. And my parents been married this year. Actually, next month will be 45 years. So I listen to a lot of people that God leads me to. I don't listen to everybody because I don't want to know everybody. And I do know that, every marriage is different. I'm not trying to model my marriage after anyone. And I just, you get your little pieces from different people and you take what you need, you take it back to God, you keep what you need to, and let go the rest of it, right? So that's all I got for you tonight. I hope you have enjoyed tonight's podcast on friendship during the waiting season. Continue to help your friends wait well. Continue to send them encouraging videos and prayers and all those good things when you know they're waiting well and waiting with expectation, because before you know it, they're going to be out of the waiting period. And we want you to help them push on through the waiting period until God says it's their time. Okay? So until tomorrow, that's all I got for you. All right? Y'all have a good evening.